so in our language, it's the RGB tone or the CMYK tone or the, today now because they are web, so there are web colors, but there is assigned color. You cannot have even one digit going up and down because the color changes. And if the color changes, the essence of brand gets demolished. So it's very important. So they are very conscious about these things.
So let's go a little bit behind. Since you said you started off as a graphic designer, is there a particular moment where you thought, or when you were working before you were doing your own, there's a moment that came in your life where you thought, acha, this is where branding importance came into play? Because I'm guessing that happened a little bit later.
That happened after work. I started my thought process of being an artist. Okay. That's where it started, in probably grade 8 or 9, which I was very sure I wanted to get into some sort of designing. And I was, my father was, in a way, he gave a lot of importance to education. So he said, do your graduation, after which you decide what you want to do, which I thank him for today, because somewhere that knowledge with a combination of being an artist, it's a very unusual combination, and that's why I understand business very well. Correct. So when I finished my graduation, by then I had realized that I wanted to get into graphic designing, commercial arts rather. I was not more keen towards fine arts or any of that. I was more keen on towards commercial arts. I used to love the way, advertisements would happen, or I would love just the idea of in those days, I didn't even know what branding, was the definition of branding. Correct. It came in much later. When I started working is when it came in. So it was very early on set that I would definitely take, art as a path. But then I started working. My first company, I worked in a publishing house. We used to do a lot of printing work out there. So branding was never done out there. But because we used to do publishing for the multinational companies like Unilever, HLL, or, all these, Cadila, all these big brands, ICICI, and we used to do their brand guidelines. Okay. So that's when I understood the importance of branding. Like, you cannot, for example, Tata, okay, if a book is getting printed, you will have a designated person who comes to the press and make sure that the color matches. That blue, so it's called the Tata blue, it's called the Colgate red. Yeah? Yeah, in the art world, rather the commercial art world, these are definitions of colors. So it's the Tata blue, it's the Colgate red, because it's a specific color given to that brand. So there are specific, so in our language, it's the RGB tone or the CMYK tone or the, today now because they are web, so there are web colors, but there is assigned color. You cannot have even one digit going up and down because the color changes. And if the color changes, the essence of brand gets demolished. So it's very important. So they are very conscious about these things. They have specific guidelines, like say 80% of your cover has to have this certain pattern. Only the 20% can be used for any other design. So these are specific norms that are kept. And you will be surprised, these guidelines are like those huge manuals, industry manuals. They're that big and they're that fat. And as a company, if you're doing work for them, you have to study the entire guideline, without which no artist is allowed to even touch the project.
That's beautiful.
And they spend crores on this activity.
Because it's a big deal, and that recognition is all over the world.
Yeah, so, and it's universal, right? It's universal. So that's when they all started small, right? Correct. But how have they become so big? Today, you'll just see the T, or you'll see a blue color somewhere. You'll recognize it's Tata.
From far.
That's it.
That's
the power of branding.
Yeah, I'm just starting to think that now when you pass by and you see certain things, you take them so much for granted because you know that brand just from that logo.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the language. So there are a lot of aspects to brand. There's something called brand language. So I'll give you a very good example. Apollo Tires did their rebranding. Okay. And I happened to see their guideline because we were doing a project and I happened to see their guideline. So I don't know if you've realized the Apollo logo has been inspired by the tires.
Correct.
All the alphabets have been created with the tires. And there is something called a brand language, a brand design language that gets created along the lines of creating this. So there's a pattern of circle that they have created, which is your design language, which is used all through their branding, whatever, their ads, their brochures, everywhere. That design language is created. So it could be a wave for somebody. So these are patterns that are created, which are then used in their different form of advertisement, brochures, any communication to their consumer, internally, externally.